Okay, copy. This looks like our suspect right here. Looks like a criminal. Looks like got a hood on. I don't know. Looks like the kind of guy that would do that sort of thing. Plus, he matches the description of our suspect completely. So I'm pretty sure this is him. I'm gonna go in. Excuse me. Buddy. Hey. He's got something in his pocket. Hey! Hey! I'm gonna get on the ground! Get on the ground! No! Oh my god. I don't know what's going on here. Let me back. I'm gonna search him. He's on the ground right now. I'm gonna search him. Hey. Hey. What do you got here? Wallet? Keys? Phone? Where's the drugs? Where's your superior? Where is he? I'm raising back up here. He's not being cooperative. I think he's aggressive, overly aggressive. I don't know what's going on. He just seems aggressive. I'm ready to back up. Really get some tasers, beanbags, whatever they got. Get down here. Anybody copy? What'd you say? You said this isn't the suspect? Oh, you said there is no suspect. You said you never told me about a suspect in the first place, so you're not sure what I'm doing. Or I could just let him go. Okay. Am I gonna get fired? Okay, yeah, we'll talk in here. We'll talk in your office, yeah. Alright. Copy that. Thanks, Chief. Yeah, you can get up. You're clean. So, stay off the streets. You know, don't do the drugs. Alright.
Hey there, Editing Hamzah here. If you're wondering why I'm wearing different clothes in the intro than I am in the rest of the video, that's because I recorded the intro weeks ago for an entirely different video. Well, not entirely. It was still about this topic, but it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, and so I scrapped it and never ended up uploading it. Don't worry though, what I talked about in that video I will talk about at the end of this one. I even made a thumbnail for it and everything. But I like this intro, I thought it was funny, and I didn't feel like recreating it or coming up with an entirely new one, so there you go. So, I finished Duolingo. Well, kind of. I'm on unit 30, and there's 30 units. I'm on the last unit, and I didn't finish it. However, the last 6 units of Duolingo, there is no new vocabulary or grammar concept, so it's basically just review after unit 24. And I'm on unit 30, and I'm just kind of getting bored of it, and it's time for me to move on, so I'm done with it. In this video, I'm going to be giving my opinion on Duolingo, what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, and what I'm going to be doing going forward when it comes to learning this language, which is Arabic. I'm also going to talk about how well I think I can speak, read, and listen. Those 3 skills in particular. But before any of that, you want to hear me speak it, right? You want to hear me speak Arabic? You want to hear me try to speak it? You want to see how much I can speak it right now, live? Well, to me, live. You know, you're watching it live. It's cool. I can do it. But let me tell you something before I do though. When you're judging my ability, I don't want you to think that this is just because of what I did on Duolingo, because I've done other stuff too. Like, for example, the grammar books. I've gone through the entire first grammar book. If you just like look up online, Medina series Arabic book, Medina Arabic book 1, it'll probably come up what I'm talking about. So there's 3 books having to do with Arabic grammar. I finished the entire first one with a teacher. And right now I'm in the second one. I only finished 2 lessons so far on the second one. So basically I just finished the first book. And also when I was young, when I was a child, I learned the Arabic alphabet. So I'm used to pronouncing the letters like tha and la and ayn, ghayn, kha, all this stuff that's, you know, not easy if you're just an English speaker and you just learned the letters. So keep in mind that whatever I'm about to do, it's not just from Duolingo and Duolingo alone. It's also from going over the whole entire grammar book 1 and also being comfortable using Arabic letters, the sounds of it and stuff like that. So with that in mind, let me try to speak. And I'm gonna put no cuts in it, so you don't think I'm just like cutting and looking at stuff in the middle. It's just going off of brain power and what I know. So here we go. I'm going to start speaking Arabic في 10 9 8 7 6 5 4 3 2 1 0. اذهب. من الممكن أن أتكلم عن أشياء كثيرة الآن، مثل الطقس، مثل كيف الطقس اليوم، هو بارد أم حار، هو مشمس أم ممطر. أحب مطر جدا by the way. مثل أيضا أكل، مثل موزة، فاكهة وخضروات أيضا. أيضا أنا مثل أنا حمزة، اسمي حمزة. أنا لابس قميص الآن. أفلام. أحب مشاهدة الأفلام مثل افنجرز، مثل مارفل، لكن قبل مارفل. أحب سبايدر مان into the spider verse. أحب ذاك فيلم. أحب ذاك فيلم. أحب مايلز، لكن أيضا ميغال أيضا. أستطيع أتكلم عن عائلتي، مثل أمي وأخي وأخواتي وجدي وجدتي، كلهم. أحب عائلتي جدا. أيضا أشاهد أفلام، ليس تلفازي لكن حاسوبي. كل شيء في حاسوبي. لا أعرف ما أن أتكلم عن أكل، أنا، عائلتي، أشياء. أستطيع أتكلم عن شيئي، أشيائي، مثل عندي هاتف، عندي قميص، عندي عين عندي يد عندي أسنان نعم لا أعرف ما أن أتكلم عن I just want to make sure there's nothing else good. Okay, is there anything else I can say? لا أعرف تمام خلاص سأتكلم إنجليزية الآن. So that's how much I can speak right now. The main struggle was thinking of things to say because I don't even know what to say. I just started talking about random stuff like my family, vegetables, fruit, movie. Well, I did talk about a movie, so whatever. That's my capability right now. And most of the pauses, I hope you can figure out the difference between the pauses because I don't know what to say and the pauses because I'm struggling with the language as part of the language learning to see where I'm at. But you know, that's the best I can give you for now. So now I'm going to go into how well I think I can do these three things: speaking, reading, and listening. As for speaking, you just saw, I don't think I'm the slowest speaker. Well, I had some pauses. I'm definitely not the slowest speaker. I can speak okay. I think if I knew more stuff to say, even if I'm not that fast at actually saying it, if I have stuff in mind I want to say, I could probably get it out faster. Not much to say about that. Do I think I could talk to somebody? Probably not. Probably if they used the vocab that I know. I think I would need more vocab to talk to people. Here's how fast I think I can speak, to the point where Google Translate doesn't cut off and just translate early before I'm done saying my sentence in Arabic when I'm trying to translate something from Arabic to English, see if it makes sense. So at least that fast so far, but still not fast enough to fluently talk to people or anything like that. Not much to say about it. But when it comes to reading, what's my ability? Well, okay, I'll say this. I took this test online, and after doing it, I got 27 questions right out of 40, and they gave me a score of A2 to B1, and that was only reading when it came to that. So if you know about the language proficiency ratings, then you can go off of that. But here's what I think. I was able to read that stuff, which was fine. But when I go on to like YouTube and look at a YouTuber that speaks Arabic and try to read the comments of the video, I can read like nothing. Like, these people aren't, Duolingo taught me about 1,500 words. These people are not using the 1,500 words that I learned. So I think the problem is I need to learn more words. Also, Duolingo was the last place that had the harakat, which are the vowel markings. You'll see them in Arabic when you're first learning, like the fetha, dhamma, kasra, a, i, u. That it tells you whether to say a or e or u and stuff like that. But that's not really present in normal everyday Arabic that you'll see. You might see it again, you'll see it when you're first learning. I still see it in the grammar book because I'm studying, and you might see it in like the Quran just to make stuff crystal clear nowadays. But that stuff isn't really there normally. Duolingo is the last place that still had, other than the grammar book, that still had these vowel markings, and they took away a lot of them, which was cool, but they still had some. And so when I'm reading something, I've run into a situation before where I'm reading something and I know what the word is, but because there's no vowel markings, I don't recognize it, because I recognize it with the vowel markings, but I don't recognize it without the vowel markings. So that's happened. Like, for example, I saw the word waqt, which means time, and I saw it without vowel markings, just like on a title of a YouTube video that was in Arabic. And I was like, what? Waqata? Or what does that mean? And then I translated it and it said time, and I was like, oh yeah, waqt, I know that word, I've seen it before. But because it had no vowel markings, I was just trying to guess. And so that's happened. But then there's also been many other times where I've seen words that I've learned that had the vowel markings, and I saw them without the vowel markings, and I know that that's the same word, and I'm able to pronounce it perfectly without the vowel markings there. So I think I think I've outgrown the vowel markings, and I'm glad that I'm no longer going to be dealing with them when it comes to the next thing that I'm going to do, which I'm going to tell you later on in the video. But when it comes to reading, I think my real limitation, I'm not that good at it, but I don't think it's because I'm not good at breaking down sentences. I think it's more so because I don't have enough vocabulary built up to really know what's going on. Like, say there's a sentence, and I'm good at breaking down sentences. Say there's a sentence that says اذهب إلى السوق. اذهب إلى السوق, which means I go to the store. If I saw this sentence and I didn't know what اذهب meant, but I knew what إلى and السوق means. إلى meaning to, and السوق is the store or the market. I could tell that اذهب is a verb because I know I can see the difference between a verb and not a verb. So I've learned to recognize when I see a verb. So I could tell that اذهب must be a verb, and because it's اذهب and not something else, تذهب or يذهب, then I know it's first person, or I know it's the pronoun I. So if I read it, it'd be I something to the store. I just wouldn't know what the something is because I haven't learned that vocabulary word yet. So I'm able to break down sentences. I've also been able to recognize stuff like mudaf, mudaf ilayh, na'at wa man'ut, you know, the adjective stuff, all that. If you know what it is, if you don't, it's fine. But yeah, I've been able to break down a lot of stuff. The only problem is I don't know what it means because I haven't learned a vocab word. So I need to learn more vocab words, and I think that if I do, I'll be better at reading, because really it's all about looking up words at this point, because I've learned so much grammar. Book 1 taught me all the grammar about, well, it didn't. It didn't, but book 1 taught me a lot of grammar when it comes to nouns and stuff like that. Book 2 is supposed to focus more on verbs, but because I did Duolingo, I already ran into a lot of verbs because I was using them all the time. So I've ran into present and future tense, and I've ran into past tense in the grammar book. So I know how to use verbs even though they haven't fully gone over them in the grammar book. But because they went over them in Duolingo, but Duolingo doesn't really teach you like the grammar words and stuff like that, and what stuff is called and exactly what to do it. They just show it to you. So I learned it through using it over time. So I think most of my troubles when it comes to reading will just be learning more vocabulary from now on. When it comes to speaking, so I did a test. I watched something that I've watched before, and I've watched something that I've never watched before to see if I could listen. I think my listening is probably as good as my reading, which is to say not that well. I listened to an episode of SpongeBob that I've seen before when I was a kid, and so I kind of know what's happening in the episode, but it's in Arabic. It's Arabic dub.
لا أصدق هذا البرجر فاسد.
مستر سلطة، اللحم ليس فاسدا، إنه ملون. برجر جميل متوفر في 6 ألوان.
And so I watched the whole thing. I tried to focus on how much I could actually tell rather than how much I knew from context, because I had watched the episode before. I'd say I understood about 20% of what happened, of what was being said, which is not a lot, but hey. And then I watched something that I never watched before. I decided to try to watch anime because anime it's dubbed in MSA, which is primarily what Duolingo teaches. By the way, I'm learning the Saudi dialect as well. I know more MSA right now, and so I wanted to test that because Saudi, I probably can't understand anything. So I decided to watch an episode of anime to see if I could understand what's happening, and so I chose this anime called Demon Slayer. So I watched the first episode of it to see how much I could understand. And honestly, I think when it comes to that, I understood about I understood about 20%, the same as SpongeBob. The beginning of the episode, I think I could understand a lot more, but toward the end, when like actiony stuff happened and they started yelling, you just lost me. Like, I couldn't keep up. I have no idea what's happening. Maybe they weren't saying words, a part of my 1500 vocabulary that I have right now. But I will say one thing that I liked that happened that was positive was that when I was watching the episode, there was a scene where in the first episode where the main character is walking in the snow, and there's no context to tell you what he's talking about exactly. Like, this is after his family just died, so he could be talking about his family dying, he could be talking about what he's gonna do next, he could be talking about anything. And so just from him walking in the snow, you don't know exactly what he's talking about. But there was a word that he said when he was walking, he said the word at-taqs, which means the weather. And so from that, I was able to gather that he's talking about the weather, which I wouldn't have been able to know at all if I didn't know Arabic at all. And so it wasn't just the fact that I'm just picking stuff up from context. There was actually a word that clued me in onto what he was talking about. So that was good. But yeah, overall, I'd say I understood like 20%. I think listening is probably the same problem as reading, whereas I just don't know enough words. People regularly don't talk specifically in only 1500 vocabulary word, in a 1500 vocabulary word set to accommodate me. They're gonna talk in however many words they want to express whatever they want to express. So, and I'd say I'm a little bit lagging when it comes to catching the sentence from hearing it. Like they said a sentence, I forgot what the sentence is, I don't even know. But they said, in the episode, they said a sentence and I understood that sentence after he started speaking the second sentence. Like my brain processed it kind of late. It wasn't that quickly. So he said the sentence and then he said the next sentence. And in the middle of his next sentence, I understood what the first sentence that he said meant. It finally, like, it clicked. But it was a few seconds delay. It's kind of like a computer that has a few seconds delay. So when I run into something that I do understand, it takes just a few seconds for me to register it. And obviously I don't register anything that I don't understand. So yeah, that's how well I can listen so far. And I'm definitely going to practice more listening. Yeah. So now it's time to go over Duolingo itself, what I liked about it, what I don't like about it. I'm gonna start off with what I don't like about it so I can end on the positive. The number one thing that I don't like about Duolingo probably is that it does not teach the past tense when it comes to verbs. In Duolingo, you will go over how to say stuff in the present tense. For example, if you say adheb, which means I go, you'll learn adheb, you'll learn sa'adheb, which means I will go, but you won't learn I went. You'll learn I watch, I will watch, but not I watched. So it doesn't teach you the past tense, which I think is a huge like gap. Like I would have preferred if you introduced the past tense and not had the last 6 units of Duolingo be purely review, because the last 6 units there's nothing new. I'd rather you just introduce the past tense. When you learn Arabic traditionally, the past tense of an Arabic verb is actually the default. That's the default state. I get that they taught the present first because that's more palatable to English speakers. And I will say from present to future, it's pretty easy. Like for example, adheb is I go. Sa'adheb, I will go. All you have to do is add a sa and it makes it future. But to go to the past, you have to say dhahaba. Or actually, if you're saying you, it's dhahabtu. For I went. I would have preferred if they introduced past, present, and future so that you can at least talk fully, you know, because the past is a huge part of speech. You're not going to understand when people are saying stuff about what happened, only about what's happening or what will happen. You're cutting out an entire part of language that's pretty big. So I would have liked to see that, but they don't teach you the past tense. And maybe because, you know, in the grammar book, when they tell you about verbs, even though they haven't fully introduced it, they like sprinkle it a little bit in, you'll see it. And when you first see it, it's in the past tense because that's how you learn Arabic verbs. That's the default state. Maybe they taught the present and future because they knew if you were using a source outside of Duolingo, you'd probably start with the past. And so you'd learn the past there and then you'd learn the present and future here. And so it all come together. But I don't know. I can't assume that Duolingo bases its course based on what they think you're going to do outside of Duolingo. So if you just did Duolingo alone, you would not know how to say things about the past, only stuff about the present and stuff that will happen in the future. But you can't talk in the past tense, which really sucks. I will say though, for me, because I've studied grammar, I've gone over the past tense before and my teacher introduced it early. So I kind of know the past tense because I've went over it before. And also I can recognize the difference between past and future. In any case, you'll have to go over the past tense yourself because Duolingo does not teach it. And that's a big part of speech that they left out. So yeah. Okay, so the second thing, like I said, I wish the last 6 units weren't nothing or just review. I wish it was actually like more vocab or more stuff. Introduce the past tense, give some more vocab. Like the word if or the word then. Like they don't teach if and then. I had to look those up. If is, I think, low, and then is thumma. You think a word like if and then would probably be, I mean, it sounds like it'd be important. These kind of like bridge words that you use in between the other words you're using. Like I learned the word balcony, which I can't even remember right now, but it's good to know. But how often are you gonna use the word balcony versus the word if or versus the word then? I feel like these bridge words really make up most of speech. This is kind of a nitpick, but also the dinging when you get stuff right. The voice is not as loud as the dinging. The dinging, when you get an answer right, is really loud compared to the voice. And so sometimes I want to turn it down because the dinging was annoying me. But if I turned it down, then the voice would be so low that I couldn't really hear. So I'd have to turn it back up. But then if I got the answer right, then it ding again. That's a nitpick, but that was kind of annoying. And another thing is there is no list of words in the course. But enough with the negative. Now let's get into the positive, the stuff I really liked about it and the stuff that was amazing about it. First things first, vocabulary. I think that Duolingo is great for vocabulary because it teaches you a lot of vocabulary. That's basically one of the main things, if not the main thing that's good about it, is vocabulary. Because when you're studying grammar, which I've been studying for a while, you don't run into a lot of vocab words. In fact, we run into vocab words at the end of the chapter or the end of the lesson, but without using them in sentences and really getting exposure like that, it just doesn't stick. They're just, here's a list of vocab words. Okay, so we're gonna move to the next lesson. I just think it's easier to learn when you're going over sentences and using it in context, and it makes you think about the concept more and stuff like that. So another thing I liked about it is that it's gamified. It's very fun. And although the dinging got annoying, it is cool when you first do it. The dinging is awesome, and characters, the cartoon characters, all of that, so it's all cool, and it makes you want to keep going back because of that. And speaking of things that make you want to keep going back, another thing I liked about it was the streaks. I think the streaks kept me going back because I didn't want to lose my streak. It was good to keep you on track. Though I will say one thing about the streak though, I think that people shouldn't obsess over it or want to keep it even though you're not using Duolingo anymore. Some people really like it. If you like it, it's cool, but if you're doing it and you don't really care to do it but you're just doing it because you want to keep it, personally, when I'm done with Duolingo completely, I'm just gonna stop using it because I don't want a streak to get in the way of trying to learn the language. The ultimate goal is to learn the language, not to keep a streak. I don't want me to succumb to the streak and just do it just because of the streak. When Duolingo has nothing left to offer me, it's time to move on. Also, what I liked is that it introduced the present and the future. And the reason why I like this particularly, this was a downside as well because it only introduced the present and the future, not the past. The reason why I don't mind as much is because I've gone over the past before and I've never gone over the present or the future. And one more thing that I didn't mention about the dislikes is that it doesn't teach the command form as well. Like I go, I will go, I went, and then go, which is the command form of go, which is what I said when I started speaking Arabic. Idhab, I think it's idhab. For that, it's not that difficult. I figured it out by just playing around with words. I'm not even sure if I'm fully correct on this, but idhab, you change it to id instead of eth, and that's the command form, idhab. If you have a verb that starts with u instead of like idhab starts with idhab, but then ushahid starts with u. If it starts with u, you change it to So ashahid should be watch. Command form of watch. That's what I've gathered from playing around with the words in like Google Translate and stuff. But all right, it's time for what you've been waiting for. Actually, I'm pretty sure most people were waiting for me to just try to speak Arabic, which I did toward the beginning of the video. But now it's time for me to say what my plan is for the future of learning Arabic. So there are 3 things I'm gonna do. One, I'm going to watch stuff in Arabic from now on. I already found an Arabic YouTuber and I can continue watching Arabic stuff, whether it's anime or whether it's cartoons. Yeah, so the Arabic YouTuber that I found, he's from Saudi Arabia, so I'm going to be learning the Saudi dialect. in addition to MSA. That's my plan, to keep immersing and keep learning the language and keep listening to it and getting better at being able to pick up what's being said faster instead of having that lag that I talked about earlier. So yeah. Also, I'm gonna be doing reading. Now, I thought about reading like some kind of long book, but honestly, I don't even do that in English. Like I don't read a long book. I heard a lot of people, when I was like researching about learning languages, they were talking about, I just read Harry Potter, the entire series, all 8 books or whatever, how many books there is of Harry Potter. And I'm like, what's with everybody in Harry Potter? Like, what? I'm not even that into Harry Potter. But honestly, I don't really have this big book that I want to read in another language. I don't really read books like that, to be honest. And so maybe I will pick up a book, but I think, at least to start off, what I'm going to be doing for reading practice is reading comments on the videos of the YouTuber that I follow, and each video gets like over 1,000 comments, probably over 2,000. So that's a lot of comments. Now, eventually I'll run into the same kind of comments, like, I love you, love what you do, keep up the great work, those kind of comments. And sometimes you run into hater comments. There's only so many comments that you run into on YouTube. You run into support comments, hater comments, bot comments about somebody wants you to message them on WhatsApp or something, and then you run into small percentage of comments are actually unique things about the actual video that you put out, which is nice. There's short comments that's most of them are usually a sentence or two, and then there's some people that post long comments, a paragraph or paragraphs, because they really have something to say. And then of course there's lots of replies, so I'll get to see people say something short, say something long, and I'll get to see people talking back and forth between each other in Arabic. I'll get to read a lot reading comments, so that's probably going to be what I'm starting off with. And then if I want, I'll introduce like some big book where I can read a lot of it in Arabic. So I don't think I'll read a children's book. I think that's too boring. But anyway, while I'm doing both of these things, I'm going to be doing the third thing, which is going over vocab. How I'm going to do that is by putting the words that I learned from these sources, from watching and reading stuff, and put it into Anki, which is a program that helps you memorize stuff. Currently, I'm going through Duolingo and doing a last bit of practice, but also going through every unit and taking vocab words that I learned from there, and then also from my memory. Once I've copied all the vocab words I can from Duolingo that I see and that I remember, then I'm going to stop using Duolingo at that point, and that will be the end of Duolingo. I'm not going to delete my account. I'm just going to probably just delete the app or just not use the app. But anyway, I'm planning on having a deck of over 10,000. I think when I reach over 10,000, I'll be able to speak well and understand most of what people say in most situations, probably every situation, unless it's something specific to a certain field, like you start using jargon for like medical jargon or police jargon or blue 42, whatever. I don't know what any of that means, so because I'm not in those fields, but general speech, a regular human being in society, I'll be able to understand. And at that point, my ultimate goal is probably once I reach over 10,000 words and I'm pretty good, maybe if I get to 15,000, I'm gonna stop using Anki as well, and I'll stop using that. And then my only practice will be just listening and just reading and just using the language normally. My only practice will just be using the language, and then I'll have no kind of practice thing. It'll just be me talking and me listening and me reading stuff that I want to read in Arabic that I'm interested in, and it'll have nothing to do with practice anymore. I'll just know the language. So that's what I plan on doing. Oh, and forgot to mention, as I'm watching something, right, I'm gonna have subtitles on, at least at first for a lot, because I need it to be comprehensible. So I need subtitles to understand at least what's going on a little bit, and I'm going to be paying attention to the Arabic, obviously. And when I hear something, then I'm going to, first of all, look it up in Google Translate to confirm that's the right translation as the subtitle I saw in the video. Then I'm going to add it to Anki. When I'm watching stuff that doesn't have subtitles in Arabic, every now and then I'll stop and I'll have my phone out while I'm watching it on my computer, and I'll tap the voice thing for Google Translate, and then I'll just say what it is that I just heard, like say a word, and then it'll pop up and I'll know what it means, and then I might add that to Anki. So that's how I'll pick up words from listening, by pausing it and then translating it by saying it what I just heard. I don't do that every time though, because if you did that every time, I would have to pause like every few seconds. I'd have to pause, and that would be really annoying. So sometimes I just let it go, and I don't understand something, I'm sure I'll run into it again. In conclusion, or in summary, I'm going to watch more stuff in Arabic, read more stuff in Arabic, and finally, I will be putting new words that I run into Anki and building vocabulary list of over 10,000 so I can have a lot of vocabulary to talk, and then I I should understand. I should know. I should get it. Now, before I end the video, I will say that I don't know how many more videos I'm going to make on learning a language. I think this might be the last one, honestly. A long time ago, years ago, I made a video about journey to learning Arabic. I don't even know if I posted it. Did I post it? Is it on my channel? I don't know. But anyway, that was a while ago. And back then I knew nothing. Now I know so much, and it's just awesome to see the progression. But what I'm trying to say is, what else can I possibly say about learning a language? I mean, I could keep making videos about small updates, but honestly, there's not really much else to talk about. I'm just gonna keep on with the grammar, keep on with listening, keep on with reading, keep on with going over vocabulary words, and eventually I'll just get it. But yeah, I think if I was to make another video about learning Arabic, it'd probably be years from now, and it would be a video about how I can already speak it, and that would be the end. I want you to know something. Just because I don't make a video about something doesn't mean I don't care or I'm not doing that thing. Like, I've made videos on stuff before that I'm still doing now. I just don't make a video about it, and that doesn't mean I've given up on it or I'm not doing anything that has to do with it anymore. So if I don't make another video about Arabic for years, just know that I'm still learning Arabic, and I probably know how to speak it fluently if it's been years since this video was posted, because I'm gonna continue. I just don't think there's much else to really say other than, I told you my plan. The next thing is going to be when I can actually speak it, and that might be when I make the last video on this. If I can think of anything, or rather, if you want me to make something else about this, then maybe I will. But as far as I'm concerned for now, this is probably the last video that I'll make on learning Arabic for a while or ever. I'll probably make one last video on this in my entire life, maybe, and that will be when I can speak it fluently. But if someone else wants me to make another video about it, then you can leave a comment and I'll read it. So that is all I have to say on the subject, so I'm gonna let you go. If you like the video, give it a like, it really helps. And if you want to subscribe, then subscribe, because that also helps. But the liking really helps too, though. Just like it, even if you don't care to subscribe, like the video. That really, yep. But anyway, I will see you. Leave a comment too. I will see you in the next video, and it will be about something amazing. So yeah. But before I go, I'll leave you with this. لا أعرف كثير، لكن سأعلم كثير أكثر. إن شاء الله. مع السلامة. No, I'm really just